It may seem surprising to see men of the cloth brewing beer and making cheese, but these activities are in perfect harmony with the rules of monastic life in Trappist abbeys. In fact, Trappist monks dedicate their lives to serving God and split their time between prayer, study, and work. Among other things, they may produce their own beer and cheese because, as Trappist tradition dictates, the monks must live from their own work. Naturally, this tradition is perpetuated at Scourmont Abbey in Shimei. In the summer of 1850, a group of monks from St. Sixtus Abbey in West Vlietteren established themselves on the high Scourmont plateau next to the town of Shimei, on land given to them by the Prince of Shimei. They worked hard to transform the poor soil into fertile agricultural land. In 1862, brewing started and the first Shimei beer was produced. It was logically named La Première, the first, and still exists today under the better-known name Chimay Rouge. With its brewery, dairy, hostel and other activities, Chimay Abbey has become a large employer in the region. Only 7 beers in the world, 6 of them Belgian and 1 of them Dutch, are able to call themselves Trappist Beers. This label means that they're brewed inside a Trappist monastery under the supervision of the monks, and that a substantial slice of the profit is redistributed to help those in need. Chimay's other treasure is its milk and the history of Chimay Trappist cheese, which began many moons ago. Dairy cows peacefully graze Chimay's shady pastures before being put to work. Every day, the Co-Firm Cooperative, which includes over 230 regional producers, collects rich and creamy milk for delivery to Chimay's dairy. The freshness of the milk is the only guarantee of the quality of a good cheese. When the milk arrives at the Shimei dairy, it's immediately checked to ensure that it meets the specifications given to the producers. Samples taken directly from the tanker are meticulously analyzed in the laboratory. The milk should not contain even the smallest trace of antibiotics or germs, and it can only be used to make Chimay Trappist cheese once it's passed all the quality tests. Early in the morning, the milk is pasteurized and then skimmed so that its fat content is balanced to around 30%. The curdling process comes next and involves adding ferments to the milk and putting it under pressure, as well as adding a natural coagulant. This operation lasts for around 1.5 hours. The whey is then removed. After 20 minutes, the curdled milk is put into a drainage tank, which finishes off the process of separating the curdled milk from the whey. After an initial press, the curd is obtained. Once it's removed from the drainage tank, the curd is cut into cubes, which are placed in micro-perforated molds. The weight and size of the blocks and molds vary depending on the shape of the cheese being made. A conveyor belt brings the curd to the mold underneath the press. The cheese is pressed for 90 minutes to give it its final shape. It's then turned out from its mold and placed on a rack to continue on its journey towards maturation. Chimay cheese is then plunged into a tank of brine water with added salt. It remains there for 2 to 48 hours, depending on its weight and the type of cheese being made. This stage helps to conserve the cheese, form the rind, and give it its characteristic taste. After the brining, the cheese is removed from the tank and taken to a maturation cellar. Chimay Grand Classique and Chimay à la Bière stay there for a minimum of 4 weeks. Chimay Grand Cru and Pot-au-Pré stay for around 6 weeks, and finally Vieux Chimay ages there for a minimum of 6 months. The conditions in the maturation cellar are strictly controlled in temperature and humidity. Once in the cellar, the cheese is washed and turned several times so that it develops a natural golden rind and its distinctive taste. Note that Chimay à la Bière is washed with Chimay Trappist beer, and this is the secret of its unique taste. The other great success story at Chimay is cheese. Since 1876, Chimay Trappist cheeses have been produced in the traditional way and come in a wide range of flavours. Chimay Grand Classique is smooth and mild. Chimay Grand Cru is strong and intense. Chimay à la bière is fruity and intense. Vieux Chimay is firm and fruity. And finally, Le Pot-au-Pré is the crème de la crème of Trappist cheeses.